Do you ever feel like you are drawing in external hard drives? I certainly did it for years, one after another. I built them up to store my growing collections of 4K videos and high-resolution photos, but eventually it became too much. Finding a specific file was like searching for a needle in a haystack, and keeping track of everything was a nightmare. That's when I realized I needed a better solution. A home server not only provided more storage space, but also allowed me to centralize my data and back up my data. Plus, it gave me the opportunity to explore my passion for technology and experiment with different applications, from a personal media server to a smart home center or even a private and local chatbot. The possibilities are endless. As you know, I've been running my home server for more than a year now, and I'm really happy with it. But like any system, there's always room for improvement. That's why I decided to upgrade a few components. The biggest change is to my network. The old Intel X550 network card was okay, but I was experiencing frequent connection drops and lags. That's why I chose the Sonnet Solo 10GB PCIe card, which Sonnet kindly provided me for testing. With this card, I can theoretically achieve up to 10 gigabits per second, which is way faster than 1 GBE network card on motherboards or 2.5 gigabits. I'm excited to see how this affects the transfer speed of large files and streaming 4K videos. I've also upgraded my RAM to 32 gigabytes. This will make a big difference, especially for caching and resource-intensive tasks like running multiple virtual machines or using parallel complying software. Finally, I have replaced the old GT730 with an Nvidia P620. While the P620 isn't a gaming graphic card, it offers better performance and efficiency for tasks like transcoding or rendering videos. For demanding AI applications, a more powerful card would be desirable, but I don't have the budget for that right now. If you have watched this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Have you had any experience with 10 GBE networks? What components have you used and how satisfied are you with them? A lot of you have been asking about the hardware. So let's break down the whole system. The brain of the operation is an Intel i5-10400F sitting on an ASRock B450M Steel Legend motherboard. It's got 16GB of DDR4 RAM to keep things running smoothly. For storage there's an 1TB NVMe SSD for caching and bunch of HDDs with a total capacity of 24 TB. The whole setup is housed in a Silverstone CS351 case and powered by a super efficient Silverstone Extreme 850R Platinum SFX PSU. And yeah, let's not forget the old Intel X550 network card. Let's dive into the heart of my setup, the network. In my workspace, I have 2 computers and a home server, all equipped with a 10 GBE connection. I primarily use these machines for demanding photos and video editing. Initially, my network was quite simple but also impractical. A small 1 gigabit switch connected all devices to the internet. However, as I wasn't a fan of network bridges within my Unread server and was advised against it in the Unread forum, I had to run an additional cable from the server to each device. And yeah, this was really frustrating. While I wanted an upgrade, the high prices of 10 GBE switches held me back. Luckily, I managed to snag a used Netgeat XS708E for a fraction of its usual price, for $70. As soon as I plugged in the new switch, the difference was immediately noticeable. Copying large files, especially an array of small files, was now lightning fast. No more stutters, no more connection drops, just smooth operations. I don't know why, but the new setup removed the typical bottlenecks that often slow down protocols like Samba, when handling a large number of smaller data packets. Copy operations are now completed without significant delays. Something that was unfortunately an issue before, especially with folders containing numerous photos. This ensures a much smoother and more efficient data transfer process for me. But I don't know. However, there was a major drawback. The switch was incredibly noisy. And not only that, it consumes a lot of power. I couldn't live with that. So I decided to modify the switch. After opening the case, I replaced the noisy standard fans with quite an Actua fans. Initially, I tried using included low noise adapters, but this result was unsatisfactory. It didn't work. And to test the cooling performance, I connected the switch to my MacBook and simulated a heavy load. And yeah, that thing goes crazy hot. At the same time, the LED diagnostic light turned on. I strongly suspect that the pins of the 4 PWM connector need to be rearranged, but I couldn't find any information in the internet. But hey, the fan's spinning, and now my home server is finally quiet and powerful. Not my home server, my switch. The only noise comes from the hard drives. Furthermore, I was surprised to find that there was actually very little dust inside the case. I had equipped the case with mesh panels, and the effect is clearly noticeable. Optimizing my home server for energy efficiency has proven to be highly rewarding. And here are a few takeaways I wish I had known beforehand. Less is more. Use only one RAM stick and a CPU with integrated graphics to reduce power consumption. Setting power limits. Setting a power limit in the BIOS prevents the CPU from consuming excessive power, especially when it's not needed. Efficient power supply. A high quality, high efficient power supply converts more power into usable energy and reducing waste. Fewer hard drives. Yes, fewer hard drives means fewer spinning components and thus less power consumption. My home server consumes 20 watts at idle. This is an impressive figure and shows that even a powerful server can be operated energy efficiently. And here are some additional tips. Adjusting fan curves. By adjusting the fan curves, you can adapt the fan speed to the current load, reducing noise levels and saving energy. Disabling unnecessary services. Disable any services you don't need. This can reduce CPU and RAM usage. Putting hard drives into sleep mode. Configure your hard drives to go into sleep mode after a certain period of inactivity. Smart standby. If your operating system supports it, enable smart standby. This reduces power consumption in the standby mode. Alright folks, that's all for today. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next one.